Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the top 11 most valuable and expensive 5-cent Australian coins. While these tiny coins often go unnoticed in our change, some rare dates, conditions, and minting errors have turned them into treasures worth big money in today's collector market. Let's get started. First up, the 1983 Australian 5-cent coin is one of those overlooked gems, a coin so ordinary on the surface, yet carrying a story of history, design, and potential value that makes it fascinating to collectors worldwide. The year 1983 was an eventful one in Australia. It was a time of political transition, with the election of Bob Hawke as Prime Minister and an era of economic reform and cultural change. Coins minted during this period became symbols of stability in everyday life, circulating through millions of hands while silently marking an important chapter in national history. The 5-cent coin, small but enduring, was part of this story. On the obverse side, the coin proudly features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This effigy, used on Australian coins from 1966 to 1984, shows a youthful queen wearing a tiara, reflecting both elegance and authority. Around her portrait runs the legend, Elizabeth II Australia 1983, clearly tying the coin to its year of issue. The reverse side, however, is where the true heart of Australian identity lies. Designed by the great Stuart Devlin, it depicts the echidna, one of Australia's most unique and beloved creatures. Curled in a protective pose, its spines are rendered in fine detail, showcasing Devlin's artistry. Below the echidna lies the simple but bold denomination, 5. The design is minimalist yet iconic, and it remains unchanged to this very day. In terms of specifications, the 1983 5-cent coin was struck in copper-nickel alloy, made up of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 2.83 grams, with a diameter of 19.41 millimeters and a thickness of 1.3 millimeters. The edge is smooth, making it easily distinguishable from other small denominations. These details make the coin durable, ensuring its survival decades after its minting. Now, the question many collectors ask is, why would a common 5-cent coin from 1983 hold any real value? The answer lies in condition, rarity of errors, and collector demand. While millions of these coins were minted, examples in circulated condition show heavy wear, scratches, and fading. Finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is far less common, and those pieces are the ones that drive interest and command higher prices in the market. In circulated condition, like the one being discussed today, the value may not seem extraordinary at first glance. Typically, such coins trade at around 10 to 50 cents AUD depending on the level of wear. However, the potential for higher value lies in discovering special variants or minting errors, which can raise the price dramatically. For instance, a double strike error, where the coin has been struck twice during minting, can easily bring in $50 to $150 AUD. A rare off-center strike, where the design is misaligned, can be worth even more. And the most exciting of all, a clipped planchet error, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a misfeed at the mint, could fetch hundreds of dollars depending on condition. Collectors also pay close attention to coins that have retained their shine and sharpness. An uncirculated 1983 5-cent coin with full luster and no handling marks can easily command $5 to 15 Australian dollars, which may sound modest, but for a denomination worth so little, that represents up to 300 times its face value. Multiply that by error rarity, and you can see how fortunes are made. Another factor driving demand is nostalgia. Many Australians grew up using these exact coins in their daily lives, to buy lollies, newspapers, or to slot into payphones. Today, as small denominations fade from circulation due to rising production costs, coins like the 1983 5-cent piece become relics of a bygone era. Collectors, especially younger generations entering the hobby, see them as affordable entry points into numismatics. Internationally, Australian coins have also become highly collectible. The echidna design is loved by coin collectors worldwide for its unique wildlife theme. As more global collectors seek to build complete Australian decimal coin sets, coins from the 1980s like this one are steadily gaining recognition and value. It's also important to note that the Royal Australian Mint has a reputation for precision and artistry. This adds credibility and desirability to even its smaller denominations. The 1983 5-cent coin, though small, is a testament to the craftsmanship of Stuart Devlin and the Mint's ongoing legacy. Looking to the future, the 5-cent coin itself is under threat of eventual discontinuation. Rising metal costs and reduced use in daily commerce mean it could one day be withdrawn entirely. If that happens, coins like the 1983 issue will instantly shift from common change to historical artifacts, significantly boosting their desirability among collectors. So, while your circulated 1983 5-cent coin may not make you a millionaire on its own, it is part of a bigger story. If you happen to discover an error, hold a high-grade example, or even keep it as part of a full set, its value can grow steadily over time. In the world of coin collecting, patience is often the key to unlocking wealth. The 1983 Australian 5-cent coin in circulated condition is more than just a piece of change. It's a snapshot of Australia's history, a showcase of fine design, and a small but significant player in the coin collecting world. Whether it's held for nostalgia, investment, or the thrill of the hunt for errors, this coin reminds us that even the smallest denominations can hold stories, and sometimes surprising value. Next up, the year 1967 marked a turning point in Australian history. It was only the second year after Australia adopted the decimal currency system, replacing pounds, shillings, and pence with the modern dollars and cents we know today. Among the very first coins produced in this exciting new system was the 5-cent coin, a humble but powerful symbol of change, progress, and identity. The 1967 5-cent piece, therefore, isn't just small change. It's the cornerstone of an entire new monetary era. On the obverse side, the coin proudly features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Mackin. This was one of the earliest effigies of the Queen to appear on Australian coins, showing her wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Around her portrait are the words, Elizabeth II Australia 1967, clearly rooting the coin in its place and time. This design reminds us of Australia's continuing ties with the Crown during this period. The reverse design of the coin is an Australian favorite. Designed by master coin artist Stuart Devlin, it showcases the echidna, one of the country's most unique creatures. Its spiny quills curl across the coin, beautifully engraved in fine detail, with its little snout and claws peeking through. Below it lies the simple denomination, 5. Devlin's artistry captured the heart of Australia's native wildlife, and this design has endured on the 5-cent coin for decades without change. When it comes to specifications, the 1967 Australian 5-cent coin is struck in a copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 2.83 grams, has a diameter of 19.41 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.3 millimeters. The coin features a smooth edge, making it instantly recognizable by touch alone. These details may seem small, but they add to the resilience and longevity of the coin in circulation. What makes the 1967 5-cent coin so historically significant is that it represents the first ever year this denomination was minted. Millions were produced, but as with all first-year issues, they carry special interest for collectors. People value firsts, whether it's the first coin in a series, the first issue in a country's decimal history, or the first piece that marked a change in currency. The 1967 5-cent coin ticks all those boxes. Of course, condition plays a huge role in determining value. In circulated condition, as is the case with most surviving examples today, the coin may show heavy wear, scratches, and dulling of its original shine. These pieces typically sell for a modest 20 cents to $1 Australian dollar, making them affordable for collectors. However, condition is only one part of the story. Where the true excitement lies is in finding examples that are uncirculated or proof strikes. A brilliant uncirculated 1967 5-cent coin with sharp details and mint luster can command anywhere between $15 to $50 Australian dollars, and in some cases, even more depending on collector demand. And if you happen to find one with a certified high grade by professional grading services, its value could climb dramatically. But what really sets the 1967 5-cent coin apart are the minting errors and varieties. Decimal changeover years are notorious for minting issues because production was rushed to get new coins into circulation. Errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or clipped planchets are highly collectible. Some of these error coins have sold for hundreds of dollars, instantly transforming a tiny 5-cent coin into a mini treasure. Collectors also cherish this coin for its sentimental value. Imagine, in 1967, Australians were handling decimal coins for the very first time. The 5-cent coin jingled in pockets, bought lollies for children, and paid for small items in shops, symbolizing a new modern economy. Today, holding one feels like holding a piece of living history, a bridge back to a time of enormous cultural and economic transition. Demand for coins from the late 1960s has also grown internationally. Collectors from around the world who specialize in Commonwealth or decimal coinage are keen to include the first-year 1967 issues in their sets. This global interest adds further value to coins that might seem ordinary within Australia itself. Another factor working in favor of this coin is the looming end of the 5-cent piece. With production costs rising and the denomination losing its usefulness in daily commerce, there is constant speculation that the Royal Australian Mint may discontinue the 5-cent coin altogether. If that happens, coins like the 1967 issue will gain even more prestige, as they will forever represent both the beginning and the end of a coin's journey. For many collectors, the dream of finding a millionaire-making coin starts with small denominations like this. While it's unlikely that an ordinary circulated 1967 5-cent piece will make you rich, the hunt for rare varieties, pristine proofs, or historically significant sets can pay off handsomely. In the numismatic world, one small coin can be the spark that ignites a collection worth thousands. In today's market, circulated examples are abundant, but that doesn't diminish their importance. Every collection of Australian decimal coins begins with the early years, and the 1967 5-cent is a must-have. For young collectors, it's an affordable entry point. For experienced numismatists, it's a foundational piece that completes the story of Australia's decimal transition. The symbolism of the coin's design is also worth reflecting on. The echidna, an ancient and resilient creature, mirrors the coin itself, small, tough, and enduring. Just as the echidna has survived for millions of years, the design of this coin has remained unchanged for over half a century, proving its timeless appeal and connection to Australian identity. The 1967 Australian 5-cent coin in circulated condition is more than just pocket change. It is history, art, and heritage pressed into copper-nickel. From its status as the first of its kind to its enduring demand among collectors, it carries value far beyond its face. For those with an eye for detail and a love of history, this tiny coin could be the starting point of a journey that one day might indeed lead to a numismatic fortune. Next up, the 1989 Australian 5-cent coin is more than just small change. It represents a significant part of Australia's currency story in the late 1980s, a period where the Royal Australian Mint continued its mission of producing durable, practical coins that carried the nation's identity in every pocket. While millions of these coins were minted, the details surrounding the design, the year of issue, and the evolving collector market make it a fascinating piece for study. On the obverse side, the coin features the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf. Unlike the youthful effigy of Arnold Machin used in the 1960s and 70s, Maklauf's portrait shows a more mature queen, crowned with the royal diadem, a piece of regalia often worn on state occasions. The legend around the coin reads, Elizabeth II Australia 1989, firmly placing it within its time. This design carried an air of dignity and maturity, reflecting the Queen's reign in its middle years. The reverse design is iconic and has remained unchanged since decimalization in 1966. Created by Stuart Devlin, it depicts the much-loved echidna, one of Australia's most unique monotremes. Its quills curl across the coin's face in a striking radial pattern, with its long snout and claws beautifully engraved. At the base lies the simple number 5, clear and bold, representing the denomination. The echidna, resilient and enduring, was the perfect symbol for a coin that would last decades in circulation. When it comes to specifications, The 1989 Australian 5-cent coin follows the standard template of its series. It is struck in copper-nickel alloy, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 2.83 grams, measures 19.41 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of 1.3 millimeters. The coin has a plain edge, making it instantly recognizable by touch compared to other denominations. These specifications may seem simple, but they were carefully designed for durability and practicality. The mintage of the 1989 5-cent coin was quite substantial, with more than 50 million pieces produced by the Royal Australian Mint. This large mintage ensured that the coin was widely available in circulation, meaning most Australians who lived through the late 1980s would have handled it daily. However, the sheer numbers also mean that circulated examples are very common today, and their value in low grades is usually close to their face value. But this does not mean that the 1989 5-cent coin is unimportant for collectors. In very fine condition, like the one we are discussing today, it still carries an added layer of appeal. A coin in this grade has lost some of its original mint luster, but retains strong details, particularly in the Queen's portrait and the echidna's quills. Collectors value such coins because they show clear definition without being overly worn down. In terms of market value, an average circulated 1989 5-cent coin may only bring in 20 cents to $1 in today's collector market. But when you step into higher grades, such as extremely fine or uncirculated examples, the values increase significantly. Coins in pristine mint state can sell anywhere from $10 to $50, depending on their shine, strike quality, and overall eye appeal. For proof issues or rare mint sets containing this coin, prices can rise even further. The real thrill for collectors comes in the form of error coins. Minting errors such as off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, or clipped planchets can transform an ordinary 5-cent piece into a rare treasure. Some of these unusual errors from the late 1980s have been known to fetch hundreds of dollars in auctions, making the hunt for them a truly exciting venture. For anyone hoping to turn a small 5-cent coin into a big dollar find, error varieties are the golden ticket. Another factor that makes the 1989 5-cent coin appealing is its place within the historical timeline of Australian coinage. The late 1980s were years of steady production for the Royal Australian Mint, but they were also years when collectors began to take a greater interest in decimal coins. This growing demand meant that even ordinary denominations started being preserved in higher grades, giving today's market a strong base of collectible material. For collectors building a complete date set of Australian 5-cent coins, the 1989 issue is essential. Every year tells part of the story, and while 1989 may not be the rarest, it is a link in the chain that cannot be ignored. In fact, some collectors enjoy focusing on full runs of the Maklauf effigy years, where the Queen's more regal portrait defined the coins of the era. It is also worth noting that the future of the 5-cent coin remains uncertain. With inflation and rising production costs, the denomination is no longer as useful in everyday commerce. If the Royal Australian Mint eventually phases it out, coins like the 1989 issue will take on new significance, marking an era of history that has passed into memory. Just like the 1-cent and 2-cent coins, once withdrawn, their collector appeal and long-term values could rise steadily. From a sentimental perspective, the 1989 5-cent coin holds nostalgic value for many Australians. It was the coin of everyday life, used to buy sweets at the corner shop, tossed into donation tins, or saved up in jars by children. That human connection adds an emotional dimension to its collectability, reminding us that coins are not just money, they are shared experiences. On the global stage, Commonwealth collectors also seek out Australian decimal coins, particularly those with distinctive wildlife designs. The echidna reverse has always fascinated international numismatists, making the 1989 coin a modest but important part of worldwide collections. Its affordability means that even new collectors from overseas can easily include it in their sets. While it may not make every owner a millionaire, the 1989 5-cent coin demonstrates a powerful truth of numismatics. Even the smallest coins can hold big stories. Whether it's the artistry of Devlin's echidna, the royal symbolism of Maklauf's queen, or the memories tied to using it in daily life, This coin proves that value is not only measured in dollars, but in history, rarity, and meaning. The 1989 Australian 5-cent coin in very fine condition is a shining example of how even the most modest denomination can captivate collectors. With its classic design, historical place in the 1980s, and potential for error varieties worth hundreds, it remains an engaging piece for any serious numismatist. Keep your eyes open, because one small 5-cent coin could be the first step on a journey that might just lead you to a numismatic fortune. Next up, the 1996 Australian 5-cent coin is one of those little pieces of pocket change that may look insignificant at first glance, but holds a much larger story. Every coin has a tale to tell, and this one carries the history of a nation, the artistry of its design, and the subtle collector value that hides in plain sight. Even though this coin circulated widely, its condition, demand, and potential error varieties can transform it from small silver into something much more valuable. On the obverse side, this coin bears the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, crafted by sculptor Raphael Maklauf. This design was used on Australian coins from 1985 to 1998, and it presents the Queen wearing the royal diadem, often seen during ceremonial state occasions. The portrait is regal, detailed, and instantly recognizable. Around the edge of the coin is the Latin legend, Elizabeth II, Australia, 1996. Giving the piece its national identity and date. The reverse design is one of the most beloved and enduring in Australian coinage. Created by master engraver Stuart Devlin, it features the remarkable echidna, one of Australia's most unique native animals. With its quills spread in a circular pattern across the coin and its long snout positioned toward the denomination number 5, the design captures both natural beauty and national pride. The echidna has been the face of the 5-cent coin since decimalization in 1966 and remains unchanged to this day. When it comes to specifications, the 1996 5-cent coin follows the long-standing standards of its series. It is struck in copper-nickel alloy, made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silver-gray appearance that, in circulated or blackened condition, can appear much darker. It weighs 2.83 grams, has a diameter of 19.41 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.3 millimeters. Its edge is plain, making it distinct in texture compared to other denominations. These details may sound technical, but they are crucial in confirming authenticity. The year 1996 saw a healthy mintage of more than 88 million coins, which means that the 5-cent coin of this date was very common in circulation. For this reason, most people may not think of it as rare or valuable. However, as collectors know, even the most common coins can hold value when preserved in excellent condition or when struck with rare minting errors. Now, the coin we are focusing on today is in black, circulated condition. This means that it has lost much of its original mint luster and has darkened over time due to oxidation, dirt, or natural handling wear. While this lowers its face value appeal in the collector market compared to uncirculated specimens, it still has historical significance and can fetch attention among those who collect by year or who seek unusual patinasse. In terms of market value, a blackened, circulated 1996 5-cent coin generally sells for around 5 cents to $1 Australian dollar, depending on how worn it is and how collectors perceive its eye appeal. However, in higher grades, such as uncirculated or proof condition, the coin's value can rise dramatically. Brilliant, lustrous specimens can fetch anywhere between $5 and $40 Australian dollars, while proof coins from mint sets can climb even higher. The true jackpot for the 1996 5-cent coin lies in the world of mint errors and varieties. Some examples are known to exist with off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, or even double strikes. These unusual coins are highly sought after and can sell for hundreds of dollars, sometimes more, depending on the severity and visibility of the error. This is where an ordinary-looking 5-cent coin has the potential to become a hidden treasure. Collectors also look at the historical timeline when evaluating coins. The 1990s were an important period for Australia's currency, as technology in minting advanced while traditional artistry remained strong. The 1996 5-cent coin belongs to the final decade of the Maklauf portrait era, meaning it represents the Queen's image before the Ian Rank Broadley effigy took over in 1999. That historical crossover gives this coin additional weight in the eyes of numismatists. Another reason this coin remains important is its place in date-run collections. Serious collectors of decimal coinage often build complete runs of 5-cent coins from 1966 to the present. Every year matters, and 1996 is a key link in that chain. Even in circulated or darkened condition, collectors will often set aside a specimen just to complete their timeline. Globally, the Australian 5-cent coin holds a charm for international collectors as well. The echidna design is unique to Australia, and many overseas numismatists include this coin in their Commonwealth or wildlife-themed collections. The 1996 issue, with its high mintage and wide distribution, is one of the more accessible pieces, but this accessibility helps it maintain popularity. From a cultural perspective, coins like the 1996 5-cent piece hold nostalgic value. For many Australians, this was the coin used in schoolyards, vending machines, and small purchases. It may not have been worth much in face value, but it was part of everyday life, and those shared memories give it a sentimental worth that can never truly be measured in dollars. Looking to the future, the fate of the 5-cent coin is uncertain. With inflation reducing its usefulness and production costs rising, there are increasing discussions about phasing it out altogether, much like the 1-cent and 2-cent coins before it. If and when that happens, coins like the 1996 5-cent will become historical relics, frozen in time, and their long-term collector demand will rise steadily. For now, though, the coin in black circulated condition may not make you a millionaire by itself, but it does open a window into the fascinating world of numismatics. Every collector starts somewhere, and sometimes the smallest, most overlooked pieces turn out to be the most rewarding in the long run. With patience, research, and a keen eye for errors, a single 5-cent coin can indeed become part of a much larger fortune. The 1996 Australian 5-cent coin in black circulated condition is a symbol of how even the most modest denomination can carry history, artistry, and hidden value. From its regal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II to its enduring echidna design, from its million-strong mintage to the rare errors that can transform it into a prize worth hundreds, this coin is far from ordinary. So next time you see a humble 5-cent coin, don't dismiss it, because within those small edges lies a story that could lead you closer to treasure. Next up, the 1980 Australian 5-cent coin may seem like an ordinary piece of pocket change, but for coin enthusiasts, it represents a fascinating chapter in Australian currency history. Small in size, yet rich in heritage, this coin carries the symbols of national pride, everyday usage, and the possibility of significant value for collectors who know what to look for. On the obverse side, the coin proudly features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This effigy shows the Queen wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a portrait that graced Australian coins from 1966 through to 1984. It is a simple yet elegant representation of the monarch, framed by the Latin legend, Elizabeth II Australia 1980, marking the coin's year of issue and its national identity. The reverse design, created by master engraver Stuart Devlin, is one of the most beloved in Australia's decimal coinage. It depicts the echidna, a unique monotreme native to the continent. With quills radiating outward in a near-perfect circle and its long snout pointing down toward the large numeral 5, this design combines natural beauty with striking geometry. It is a design that has remained unchanged since 1966 and continues to define the 5-cent coin today. Looking at the technical specifications, the 1985-cent coin is struck in copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a bright silver appearance when fresh from the mint. It has a weight of 2.83 grams, a diameter of 19.41 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.3 millimeters, with a plain edge. These dimensions have remained consistent across the series, making it instantly recognizable by touch alone. The mintage for the 1980 issue was substantial, with over 84 million coins produced. This high output means the coin was common in circulation, but as time passes, pristine examples in uncirculated or proof condition are becoming scarcer and more valuable. Coins that circulated heavily often picked up scratches, wear, and discoloration, which makes finding an excellent condition piece all the more exciting. Now, the coin we're focusing on is described as being in red condition. This means its surface has oxidized or developed a reddish hue due to exposure to moisture, chemicals, or simply decades of circulation. While red-tone coins aren't always desirable in the strict collector sense, they can look unique and often attract interest for their unusual patina, giving them character that sets them apart. When it comes to market value, a 1985-cent coin in well-worn, red circulated condition will typically only sell for 5 cents up to $1 AUD. However, when the coin is in very fine or uncirculated condition, prices can rise sharply. An uncirculated specimen may fetch between $5 and $20, while proof versions from collector sets can go as high as $40 to $60, depending on demand. The real excitement, however, lies in error coins and rare varieties. Collectors prize any 5-cent coin that shows minting mistakes such as off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, or even double strikes. These rare issues are worth far more than regular coins, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars at auction. This is where even a humble 1985-cent piece can become a treasure. Historically, the year 1980 was an interesting time in Australian coinage. It was part of the Machin portrait era, just before Raphael Maclau's design took over in 1985. Coins from this period are a snapshot of Australia's early decimal years, less than 2 decades after the transition from pounds, shillings, and pence. For collectors, this gives the 1980 issue a sense of being part of the first generation of decimal coinage. Another factor that makes this coin appealing is its place in date-run collections. Serious numismatists often assemble complete runs of 5-cent coins from 1966 to today. The 1980 issue is an essential piece in this timeline, and even in circulated or red-tone condition, collectors will include it to ensure their collection is complete. From a cultural perspective, the 5-cent coin has long been a staple of Australian daily life. Whether used in school tuck shops, payphones, or vending machines, it played a significant role in everyday transactions. For many Australians, a coin like the 1985 cent brings back memories of childhood and the simple joys of small purchases. That nostalgia adds to its intangible value. Internationally, the coin also has a following. The echidna design is unique to Australia and appeals to collectors abroad who focus on wildlife-themed coins or Commonwealth issues. The 1985 cent coin, widely circulated but distinctively Australian, is an accessible and popular choice for overseas collectors. Looking ahead, the future of the 5-cent coin is uncertain. With rising inflation and limited usefulness, there are ongoing debates about whether the denomination should be phased out, much like the 1-cent and 2-cent coins before it. If that happens, coins like the 1980 issue will no longer be everyday change, but rather relics of a bygone era, making them even more collectible. For collectors today, the advice is clear. Hold on to your 1985 cent coins, particularly those in excellent condition or with striking errors. While a circulated red coin may not make you a millionaire by itself, the broader market for 5-cent coins is strong, and rarer varieties have been known to command stunning prices. The 1980 Australian 5-cent coin is far more than just a small silver piece of pocket change. From its regal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II to its enduring echidna reverse, from its mass circulation to the rare and valuable error types, this coin has a story worth telling. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just beginning your journey in numismatics, the 1985 cent coin serves as a reminder that sometimes the smallest coins hold the biggest secrets and potentially the greatest rewards. Next up, the year 1969 was a remarkable time in Australia. The country was only 3 years into its new decimal currency system, which had replaced the pounds, shillings, and pence of the pre-decimal era in 1966. Coins like the 5-cent piece were still relatively new to the public, and the 1969 issue represented one of the early runs of Australia's now familiar decimal coinage. These early issues carry with them not only monetary function, but also a sense of history and nostalgia. On the obverse side, the 1969 Australian 5-cent coin features the graceful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. The Queen is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a design that became instantly iconic and was used on Australian coins from 1966 until 1984. Surrounding her image is the Latin legend, Elizabeth II, Australia, 1969, clearly identifying both the monarch and the year of issue. The reverse side of the coin is a masterpiece by Stuart Devlin, the renowned Australian coin designer. It depicts the echidna, one of Australia's most unique creatures, also known as the spiny anteater. With its long snout and crown of quills, the echidna radiates outwards around the numeral 5, creating a distinctive and memorable design that has become synonymous with the 5-cent denomination. It is a design that has endured for decades, making the 1969 issue both familiar and historic. In terms of specifications, the 1969 5-cent coin was struck in a copper-nickel alloy, composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silver-like appearance. The coin weighs 2.83 grams, measures 19.41 millimeters in diameter, and is 1.3 millimeters thick, with a plain edge. These specifications are standard across the 5-cent series, but what makes the 1969 coin special is its age and survival in various conditions today. The mintage for 1969 was approximately 30.5 million coins, a healthy number for circulation. While this might make the coin seem common, the truth is that after more than 50 years of circulation, finding well-preserved examples is far less common than the raw mintage suggests. Coins from this era were heavily used in daily transactions, and most surviving pieces show considerable wear. The coin we are focusing on is in circulated condition, which means it has been used in everyday commerce and carries visible signs of wear, such as dulling of its shine, scratches, and perhaps smoothing of details. While circulated coins are the most common, even these have collector value when tied to early decimal years like 1969. In terms of market value, a circulated 1969 5-cent coin typically sells for anywhere between 5 cents and $1, depending on the degree of wear. However, when you find coins in very fine or uncirculated condition, the value jumps significantly. Collectors may pay $5 to $15 for uncirculated examples, while proof issues, which were specially struck for collectors, can sell for much higher, sometimes reaching $40 or more depending on demand. But here's where things get truly exciting. Error coins and rare varieties from 1969. Like many issues of the era, some coins were struck with slight minting errors, such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or double-struck images. These rare anomalies are highly prized by collectors and can sell for hundreds of dollars, transforming what looks like a simple 5-cent coin into a serious collectible. Collectors also seek out coins with unusual toning or patina, as well as those that have survived the decades in pristine condition. A 1969 coin in a red or oxidized tone may look unusual, but in the right collector's market, such unique coloring can add a premium, making it more appealing than a standard circulated piece. From a historical perspective, the 1969 5-cent coin sits firmly in the early years of Australia's decimalization. Coins like this mark the transition from the old system to the new, and for many Australians, they are tied to memories of school tuck shops, payphones, and the small purchases of daily life. This nostalgia factor increases demand, especially among Australian collectors who love to build full-date runs of the 5-cent series. Internationally, the coin also holds interest. The echidna design is distinctly Australian and appeals to wildlife collectors around the world. Foreign numismatists often seek early decimal coins to complete Commonwealth or wildlife-themed collections, and the 1969 issue is a great example of that. Another important factor is the future of the 5-cent coin. With inflation diminishing its spending power, there have been repeated discussions about whether the denomination should be retired, just like the 1-cent and 2-cent coins before it. If that ever happens, early issues like the 1969 coin will only become more desirable, cementing their place as historical relics of Australia's currency system. For those who hold a 1969 5-cent coin today, the message is clear: don't underestimate it. Even in circulated condition, it is a part of Australian history, and if you are lucky enough to find one in mint state or with an error, you could be holding something worth far more than you expect. The 1969 Australian 5-cent coin is a small but significant piece of numismatic history. From its elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II to its striking echidna reverse, From its high mintage to its growing collector demand, this coin demonstrates how even the smallest denominations can carry immense historical and financial value. Whether it's worth a few dollars or potentially hundreds in rare cases, the 1969 5-cent coin reminds us that sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins hide the most extraordinary stories. Next up, the year 1989 was one of transition in Australia. The economy was shifting, technology was advancing, and the Royal Australian Mint continued to produce coins that carried national identity and artistic expression. Among these coins was the humble 5-cent piece, small in size, but packed with detail and historical weight. The 1989 5-cent coin is one of those issues that may seem common at first glance, but when studied carefully, becomes a fascinating collectible. On the obverse side, the coin proudly features the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by sculptor Raphael Maklauf. This portrait, used from 1985 to 1998, shows the Queen wearing the royal diadem, a regal headpiece that gives the coin a more formal and elegant presence compared to earlier designs. Surrounding her portrait are the inscriptions Elizabeth II Australia 1989. It is a design that reflects authority, continuity, and Australia's deep ties to the crown during this era. The reverse side of the coin is the work of legendary Australian coin designer Stuart Devlin. It features the much-loved echidna, also known as the spiny anteater. The echidna is rendered with incredible detail, with its long snout and spines radiating across the surface of the coin, all encircling the large numeral 5 at its center. This design has remained unchanged on the 5-cent coin since its introduction in 1966, making it one of the most enduring and iconic designs in Australian coinage. When it comes to specifications, the 1989 Australian 5-cent coin follows the standard for the denomination. It is struck in a copper-nickel alloy composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silver-gray color. It weighs 2.83 grams, measures 19.41 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge. These features have remained consistent across all 5-cent coins, ensuring uniformity and easy recognition. The mintage of the 1989 issue was approximately 82 million coins, a fairly large production run. This means that millions of these coins entered circulation across Australia, serving in everyday transactions such as bus fares, school lunches, and vending machine purchases. However, despite their abundance at the time, finding high-grade examples today is far less common, especially after decades of circulation. The coin in circulated condition, like the one we are focusing on here, carries the marks of time and use. The once bright surfaces are now dulled, and the fine details of the echidna and the Queen's portrait may appear softened from years of handling. While circulated examples are not particularly rare, they hold historical value and can serve as a stepping stone for new collectors entering the world of numismatics. When we talk about market value, circulated 1989 5-cent coins generally trade for around 5 cents to $1 depending on the degree of wear. In higher grades, such as uncirculated or mint state, values can climb significantly, with some coins fetching between $5 and $20. EUD collectors who are building complete date runs of the 5-cent series often pay premiums for coins in the best possible condition. Where the excitement really comes in is with error coins. During the minting process, a small number of coins may have been struck with mistakes, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or clipped planchets. These rare errors can transform a simple 1989 5-cent coin into a highly sought-after collectible, sometimes worth hundreds of dollars. Collectors love the uniqueness of such coins, since no two errors are exactly alike. Another factor that adds value is toning. Over time, coins can develop interesting colors due to natural oxidation of the copper in the alloy. Some 1989 5-cent coins display shades of blue, gold, or rainbow-like patterns. While most circulated coins are dull gray, those with attractive toning can catch the eye of collectors and fetch higher prices on the market. From a historical perspective, the 1989 issue represents the latter half of the 1980s, a decade when Australia was modernizing but still very much tied to its traditions. Coins from this period remind us of a time before the digital revolution, when physical money was king. The 5-cent coin was a staple in everyday life, and for many Australians, it evokes memories of small purchases, pocket change, and childhood savings jars. The demand for the 1989 5-cent coin is particularly strong among collectors who focus on completing year sets or who specialize in coins from the 1980s. While it may not be the rarest year, its age and design continuity make it a desirable addition to long-term collections. It also attracts international collectors who admire Stuart Devlin's wildlife-themed designs, which remain timeless symbols of Australia's identity. Looking to the future, the 5-cent coin faces an uncertain fate. With inflation steadily reducing its spending power, there are ongoing discussions about phasing out the denomination altogether, just as the 1-cent and 2-cent coins were removed in the early 1990s. If that happens, coins like the 1989 issue will only grow in significance as historical artifacts of a bygone era. For those who hold a 1989 5-cent coin, the advice is simple. Check its condition carefully. A well-preserved or unusual example could be worth more than you think. And if you stumble upon an error coin, you might be looking at something truly special. Even circulated coins deserve to be kept, as they are part of Australia's cultural and numismatic history. In conclusion, the 1989 Australian 5-cent coin is far more than just pocket change. It embodies artistry, history, and the everyday life of a generation. While most examples are common and inexpensive, the potential for rare varieties, pristine conditions, and collector demand means this small coin can sometimes punch far above its weight in value. Whether worth a few dollars or a few hundred, the 1989 5-cent coin proves that in numismatics, no coin should ever be overlooked. So, the next time you come across a 1989 5-cent coin in your change, take a closer look.